idea that it wasn't her. She wasn't out to damage Norma or her children. Now, again, I'm saying she's an incredibly noble person. And, and let's just hop back a little further to Casa Viva, where there's talk about whether in this ritual, Norma actually, I've had a lot of conversations about whether Norma actually is channeling some kind of goddess energy, or whether she's trying to tell the people what she thinks they should hear. I personally think that she does have spiritual quality and the ability to really communicate with higher powers when she's focused and not angry and not, personally involved. Meditative, if you will. So I think these things, that's what I'm saying about the priestess, the woman, the mother, these things they flash out, and then she's the one who kind of puts them back into a balanced position. And all is right with the world when she can manage to do that. The crux of this opera, what all that transpires, is when she can't manage to do that for the most part. She's constantly in conflict with her own issues, her own emotions. So when Adalgisa comes in at this moment, of course, she wants nothing to do with her. And she breaks through anyway. She tells Clotilde, forget it, I don't want to see her. And she comes in anyway. And in the course of that first recitant duet, I think Norma realizes how Adalgisa really has been a pawn in this situation. And it comes to her that if Pollione was so fickle as to go with Adalgisa, she needs to just step out of the picture. Like right now, she's like, I don't want anything to do with him, and and it's mainly my children that I want to be taken care of. So I don't find that particularly difficult to accomplish in the duet. If the three of us, Adalgisa, the director, and Norma, can agree on how we're reciting those recits and where we're going with it. Because I do think Adalgisa, aside from Clotilde, is Norma's only friend and confidant, and not even that close a confidant if she didn't know about Pollione.
Sure.
So Norma no man is an island. She's pretty much an island in this entire opera. So she's got the pressure of an entire people, as well as all these things on her guilty conscience. So I'm giving her big props for being able to even say, hey, I'm out of here. You take the kids and I'm out of here. That's an incredibly non-destructive choice. And it's only at Adalgisa's prodding, he says, okay, I'll meet with Pollione and we'll have a chat and see what happens with this and where we can try to fix it. And of course then he does the show. He makes a lot of bad choices, that Pollione.
Yes, he does. Now we work towards the end of the opera where you are now with Pollione. You've realized that he's been spotted with trying to take Adalgisa, and this is where I believe all hell breaks loose. Now let's get to that point in particular, and once again I want to go into the thinking of Norma.
Fury. Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
I think the minute, she comes in, my God, it's some of the most beautiful music to me in the opera when she comes in that scene and she says, I know he'll come, and it's going to be great, and there's that gorgeous cadenza to high C, it's going to be like it was in the past, and I know we can figure it out. It's like the marriage that's on the rocks, and the husband says, let's go to dinner, honey, I have something I want to talk to you about, and then she gets all dressed up and is ready to go to dinner, and then they meet for dinner and he says, I want a divorce. It's like that, it's like, it's unimaginable how, like you said already, she's been crushed and broken, and this is the last shred of potential hope for her. And Clotilde runs in and says, he's trying to get Adalgisa at the temple, and of course Adalgisa won't budge, and come on, where can you go with that? She's furious. She's humiliated. This is a woman who has the respect of the world, of all her world, and here's someone who's treating her like dirt. I can't imagine how angry and vindictive she would feel. So,
which naturally is what leads into what follows for the rest of the opera.
exactly. And we think, if Bellini were a lesser composer, I think we would see the end a lot more quickly. But then we have this moment, like I mentioned before, which is, I'm going to give you one last chance, dude, to get it right here. Never get out of here, never see Adalgisa again, and you can leave. Then we see a real battle of wills and a real emergence of the depth of character and courage of these people. I mean, it's so courageous. Then she says, okay, it was me. You can kill me now on the pyre. Hello? I mean, she could have so easily said, it was Adalgisa, which to some degree is true. No. They do their darndest, I think, to fix it, to make it right for their people, for their children, for each other. Love that.
Well, I want to go on to some technical stuff now to do with Norma. At the end, there is that unwritten note that some Normas take. I've always felt that it ruined the drama, particularly that those moments in Norma are very few, I believe, in any other work where the drama is so heavy, so weighted. I've always had an issue with artists who take the high note at the end, because to me, the moment doesn't call for it at all. And I find that much with Anna Bolena also. There is no need for a high note at the end. And Swarda, same thing. Don't put this high note in, but some artists do it because it's the fashion of the moment. Now, I can understand the note at the end of the trio because it is high emotions. That note fits in there beautifully. But the one at the end, how do you take the note at the end, or?
I don't, and it's precisely for the reasons you just stated. Plus, I think there's an element of triumph about going up, and there's an element of resignation about going down. And if there's anything about this, it's resignation. Plus, it could go back to what we touched on very early in this talk, which is probably that high note is more appropriate for those sopranos whose voices lean toward the coloratura side, as opposed to those of us who lean a little bit more toward the dramatic side. So I think for them it might be a little bit more appropriate. But I agree with you wholly. Gosh, there's enough screaming in this piece, and in fact in that ensemble, there's plenty as you and Paglione ride over the top of the big chorus. And I've always felt that it's a resolution. That I don't think it's about anything but finality. And so to take a screamy high note at the end of that, because it doesn't play right for me either emotionally. But I'm not judging. I mean, if it works for them and they can sell it, cool. For me personally, it doesn't work.
Are there any artists previous to you, in particular, who have sung this work? I mean, many artists have done it: Callas, Sutherland, Sills, Caballé. I can name the repertoire. Many of them very great in the role. And you follow these artists, setting your own stamp on the work. But who do you more closely align your interpretation with, and who influenced you more as you considered Norma?
Well, when I first the Bible is Callas. I love all those people you mentioned, and I have a lot of recordings. I have a friend of mine is a rare recording